Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Ain't bang them books. Be something y'all ain't.
Peace. Peace. How's everybody doing? We hope, we pray that everybody is well and will be better. We ask you to feel welcome at Day and Night Publications. It's been maybe some days since we actually went live. And this is something, brothers and sisters, that I care to talk about. And I hope I don't offend anybody in this. Shalom to my brother, Berg in Paris. How's everybody doing? If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please press the number 4. We are on the platforms Amora Yeshaya, Torah Lessons, Amora Yeshaya, History Lessons, and Mora Yeshaya History Lessons 2. We do intend, brothers and sisters, to bring new content and so forth and so on to the family. All right? Thank you, family, in that particular case. Thank you for pressing the number 4 in that man and my friend. Now, this is not like a PowerPoint kind of thing going from slide to slide. And I call this one here, Leave Obama Alone. Stay focused. Now, for those who are going to understand this, you may have to be aware of certain politics that has been going on. Within the past month, there was a building, a monument, if you will, a matter of a library, a public kind of library based in Chicago, dedicated in regards with Obama. All right, if I'm misquoting what the place is, please let me know. But brothers and sisters, that just goes to show that he, like other presidents, has things dedicated to him, which in this or any other society, brothers and sisters, is not a bad thing. So what are we looking at when we say, leave Obama alone, stay focused? I have been noted for saying that for us as said black people who may be feeling the political lady, Jasmine Crockett, that maybe her fans should be the one that says certain things that she took upon herself to say. Not that she should not speak her truth or so forth or speak in her defense. You understand? But that is something that we care to bring out in regards with that. So what do I mean in this particular matter? Leave Obama alone. I am not saying to the people who have respect for him, who like him, that they should not show that they like him. Personally, there are certain policies that he was about I agreed with, and certain policies he was about that I disagreed with. But for a man to be out of political power for now 10 years, and as people keep on saying, he rents free space, and the current POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, meaning President of the United States, said that essentially Obama rents space in Trump's head, has been said over and over again. But here is my question. Obama, when he was in office for those 2 terms, did not even hint on seeking a third. When he first got in office, he was saying that there will be people who agree with him and people who will disagree with him. He already knew and understood that. When Obama got in office, one of the things he did in saying is that he, quote, challenged the black man to step up. I remember that particular matter in this particular case. You understand? So now for a man, as some say, went in looking physically one way and dealt with all of the stress that he dealt with, the housing market, the matter with Afghanistan, the matter with capturing war criminals and so forth, the matter that people disagree with him on, when I personally do too, about the matter between him and Gaddafi, you understand? About the matter of, quote unquote, making certain kinds of marriages, quote unquote, legal. No, we Danite publications, the Danites are about heterosexuality. You understand? So there are certain things that, while I agree with some of the policies that Obama had, certain things I'm just like, no, personally, absolutely taboo, no. You understand? Obama ran against McCain and defeated him. Obama is and was with the Republican Party. And one of the things that he stated is that with the Democratic Party, I stand corrected. Obama is and was with the Democratic Party. And one of the things that stood out to me was when he actually said that the Democratic Party upheld slavery in the past, which, for those who do know, the Republican Party did too. Because when Lincoln became in office as a Republican, he got rid of the guy Fremont for freeing the black people that were in Missouri, put the black people back into slavery, all under being a Republican. You understand? And his running mate, as time went on, was a Democrat. So that's why maybe some say it's the same bird with just 2 different wings. But brothers and sisters, let me get to the point of this and what I'm saying when I say, because somebody did ask, what are you saying? And asking me to follow, what am I talking about? It has been said over and over that Obama is renting space in Trump's head. People have made jokes about it, pictures about it, and so forth. But here is my question. If the man did not want to even try to get a law changed for him to be running again, and if his wife does not want to run, leave them alone. Why are people who are his fans, why are people who do respect him, if you have any true respect and not something just, I want to see a competition, I want to see one person versus the other, you want to be that kind of spirit? Or should the man be allowed to have some kind of rest after all of the stuff that he's been through? Just asking that question in that particular case. This is now the year 2026. People go as far as talking about the joke that was made back in 2011 and saying the things that he said about Trump when Obama was, quote, still in office. Now, speaking seriously, Obama did state that Trump does not understand, nor did he take serious the position that he has as a leader and so forth, and that is true. My particular short message is to the people who, if you say you have respect for Obama, if you say you have a liking for Obama, why would you, if the man is not in political power, he's not, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the Senate, he's not part of Congress, He's not running for any office of anything of that kind of sort. Why do you keep on putting him online against Trump? Then we say that he hasn't been in office for, say, 10 years, which is true. So let him get his needed rest, deal what he got to deal with, help who he can help, and life goes on. I believe I know why. Because, see, when Obama got in office, right, it was after Bush Jr. Bush Jr. did not leave a good economy for the person after him. You understand? Trump is not leaving a good economy for the person after him. So just like you got people who may feign or front or act like they are fans of Obama and say, oh, Obama 2028, you're using, for the lack of a better term, the black man to fix the problems that the Republicans have created in your mind. Just as much as the housing market and other things with economy and economic stuff had to be fixed by Obama, and he left it okay for the person after him, and Trump is messing things up. You want the same black man to have to sit there and be used again to fix the problems that a Republican, white or otherwise, have created. That's not true matters of being a fan. That is using that man if you have true understanding. That is what I am saying. So when people keep on saying, Obama 2028, if Obama run, I'm going to win. You know why pardon me, if Obama run, I'm going to vote for him again and he's going to win. You understand? The reason why people are up there and saying those kind of matters is because they know the economy is not what it was. It's not going to be what it was. Trump is messing things up. The deal with Iran that Obama had wasn't the best. Trump is giving them what black people been talking about as far as what we've been speaking upon for some time, reparations, $300 billion and so forth, and the situation with this country and that country and all these other kind of matters and so forth and so on. I gotta say this in no disrespect. We don't tolerate, my sister. I did see you say shalom, but normally I would have put the thing, but we not here with the profanity. I know I've used, peace, my sister, shalom to you too. I know I've used profanity, but no more. That's just something with that, and that's something I got on me by my elders. But this presentation, because we do have free speech, is not about who did what for who. You understand? For instance, not to get too personal, my daughter is getting married this summer. I wasn't the best father. My daughter, she's turning another age soon enough to become a grown woman. But I wasn't the best father. But the things that she got and did for herself, I'm not going to say, oh, well, I wasn't the best, so therefore this and that. You understand? And so that say is what it is in that. You know, the reason why, for those who do know, I would never condone somebody or anything say like Trump is this. First, Duke, you didn't investigate nothing. In Day and Night Publications, we don't know everything, but we investigate to the best of our ability. So when you made the thing about the Central Park 5, I remember that matter in New York City. You understand? And I don't even live in New York no more. You know, I remember the situation when Trump went on Oprah and said that if he were to run, he would run on the Democratic ticket. You understand? So I remember him saying things like, for instance, not even being on, quote, the race matter. You walk in front of the Queen of England, disrespect to your leader, disrespect to the mother of your country. England is the mother of America. You understand? How are you walking in front of the Queen of England? That's disrespect. How are you at Arlington at the cemetery desecrating matters? You have absolutely, positively no respect. And with people who may disagree and or agree, but may not understand where one is coming from, you do not sit there and say, oh, there's the Republican Party, and then turn around and say he disrespected John McCain because he was a POW when you were a draft dodger. Let me give you an example for those who know the movies. You seen the movie Set It Off? Remember, and I'm not condoning doing a heist or a robbery or anything of that sort. I'm not condoning that on this platform. You understand? But if you look at it, right, the girl that ran off, the lady that ran off in that movie Set It Off, you won't be getting any of the quote unquote funds from that heist. See, when you seen the heist that was done in Dead Presidents, they all stayed as a unit, even if they died together. And I'm not condoning a robbery on this platform. I am saying this, just as much in the movie, brothers and sisters, Set It Off, and the lady ran when they was doing the heist and still wanted the money from the heist. How are you a draft dodger and you still want the royalties and the respect? Is because you're a coward. It's because you're not about their life. You understand? Brothers who have been incarcerated have sat there and told me stories where they sat there and had to deal with fighting other people, where they had to sit there and deal with fighting the prison guards, and nobody backed down. Nobody ran away. Do you know, as the house of Israel, do you know in part that is how Judas Maccabeus died? When you read, and correct me if I'm wrong where it's at, in 1 Maccabees chapter 9, they went up 8,000 strong against the Greeks, the people of the Seleucids. And when they saw the army of the Seleucids, many of the Israelites fled, which left Judas, Yehuda HaMaccabee, and Judah Maccabee with a lot less people. Maybe if the other brothers were there, he probably would have been still among them, but he still went out and passed away like a soldier. So be it the European man, John McCain, who was a prisoner of war, or be it the people who were captured by the Ayatollah back in the 70s during the timing of Carter, and then they were released right when Reagan came in, those to the American people were leaders and heroes. Trump is a other word. We're going to keep the language clean. You're not that. You're not built for that life. You understand? And so when it comes down into it and so forth and so on, it boils down to if you have, again, any kind of respect for a person who does not have any congressional power, Senate power, no seat and such, you are using him as a catalyst, just as much as when the housing market with Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac and so forth and so on, and all of the people winded up being exposed like Bernie Madoff in 2008. And then all of a sudden, here comes a black man out of Chicago, out of Illinois, and he's now seen as a leader to sit there and fix things and so forth and so on. You know that the economy is not doing as it should or could do. So now you want to pump up this man again to sit there and fix with the Republican, and this happened to be a white man in this case again. That's not respect if you have him in your good intentions. You understand? This video, I want to be very candid, is not an endorsement for Obama. It is not saying who people should vote for. It is not saying who people should not vote for. But I know one thing. Anybody who looks at their daughter and says she got a fine behind and a nice looking body, you got a problem. You the father. You, if anything, supposed to, for the lack of a better term, be the cock blocker. You're supposed to be the person that the guy who wants to date your daughter is shivering in his boots. How do I approach such a man such as her father? That, if anything, is how it's supposed to be. If you're not welcoming, you're supposed to be, for the lack of a better term, as stated, the cock blocker. There's only two roles a father can have once it comes down to men in his baby's life. Either he accepts or he rejects. But when you're the one who has to be rejected, and I'm not trying to say I know everything, now perhaps your daughter with her husband Jared want to go all the way over there and live in Europe for who knows what reason, you sick. So I ain't never endorsed that. I ain't never endorsed that kind of matter, and so forth and so on. So let me look at the comments, which I hardly do get. Now I want to read them. We have our friend Bergen Paris with the peace and love. And somebody wrote, can you send a gift? Don't know who that is. Somebody wrote, hello, what are you saying? I hope my point was made. I hope it was. If so, please don't hesitate to ask a question. Our brother, Bergen Paris. With that, the sister Numeralitics saying shalom. Obama didn't do bleep for black folks the first time. He won't do anything if he gets back in. The presidency is a joke. My bad. Well, see, I don't want to come off as holier than thou. Believe you me, I done said some bleep bleep on this platform, but no more. And that's what that is with that. All right. Daniel wrote, all politics are a joke. You're just voting for masters to rule over your slaved out minds. Understood. People think that voting for evil people is going to help them. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, both sides, the aisle serve the same nature, Satan's nature. And that is what Daniel wrote in the thing. And we also see they all switch up when it suits them. And that's true. They all do switch up when it suits them. Because again, it's politics. You understand? I remember just talking about it a little while ago that Lincoln, who was a Republican, was running on a ticket with a Democrat from the South. Now, something bothered my spirit, and I don't mean I have to go from subject to subject. And I thank you for taking your time out on a said Monday in the summertime. Weather is rainy but pleasant, or rainy and pleasant. Slavery was much more entrenched than I ever did think until I read this here. And it's not the fault of the daughters, regardless of their race or age. Mary Lincoln was the daughter and into the family of slaveholders. She's the wife of Lincoln and had 4 children by him, 3 dying before her death. Grant was the 18th president, and it's not his wife's fault that she was born into a family of slaveholders. For the said leader who wanted to get slavery to where it's not extended, have it marginalized, and then just fizzle out. Some people were saying that was Lincoln's plan, to have brother-in-laws who died in the Confederacy, for the Confederacy by the Union Army, is deep. For Grant
to win the battles that he did on the western frontier, if you will, of the Civil War, like Fort Donelson and later on with the Vicksburg thing and so forth. And was there when Lee surrendered at Appomattox. For him to be married, no fault of his wife, into a slaveholding family is deep. Here's my point. The 16th and the 18th president of the United States, while known for, quote, champion for freedom and liberty and not having slavery extended, and when it marginalized and fizzled out, for themselves to be born into slaveholding families, told me that slavery was much more intense and deep and more widespread than people been talking about. Recently, you got people online talking about, well, only 1.6 of the people who were slaveholders were slaveholders. So it's like the people in the South was only 1.6 of them were slaveholders. Here's a question I have with that. If that is the case, why would, if it was only 1.6 people in the United States, namely in the southern states of such, who owned slaves and who were slave masters, as generally has been said now online, 1.6. Some have said 2%. When 20 years ago, when I was in college, they were saying it was only 5%. So the numbers don't even went down over the decades. 5%, 2%, only 1.6%. Why would there be a bleeding Kansas in the 1850s? Why would Congress, under the President Fillmore, the 13th president, sign the thing with the Slave Fugitive Act in that matter? Why will a whole law have to be made for a percentage of a population of only 1.6%? When did something that was less than 5% of a population get to the point where a president has to sit there and make a big change with such? Let me find out. Enlighten me. I'm willing to learn. See, what it is marginalization. It is the matter of trying to dwindle it down. You understand? And it's done through different ways. You got, as we pointed out, that lady Candace Owens saying it wasn't the Christians who was endorsing the slavery matter, it was the white Jewish people. While she hops from Christianity to Catholicism. But you've been known for saying all kinds of things that have us as people saying you're not invited to the cookout, so to speak. You understand? You walked around with a shirt, correct me if I'm wrong, that said White Lives Matter. So I don't mean to be, quote, all over the place in this video, but it's just some things to get off of my mind. Like, why all of a sudden Obama popped up in 2007, 2008, won the presidency, fixed what he could fix. Things are not going as good now as people would have hoped. And now they're saying, Obama 2028. You got to run to a person who you thought or think would fix something because whom you trusted did not uphold in fixing. It fell back to X, Y, and Z's hands and became crap. It became not what you had wanted it or thought it would be. And again, as in closing out. This video and we here at Day Night Publications are not here to say to vote for anybody. That is not in any way, shape, form, or fashion in this platform. I will not say who you should or should not vote for. Well, then again, that's not true. I would say if you do vote, who you should not vote for, because any man who say his daughter got a nice body, you should not vote for that person. And I'm not biting no tongue or cheek in that one right there, to be quite candid. You understand? There have been several reasons on why people said Trump even won in the first place. He can, in politics, only, not to be sexist, not to be misogynistic, defeat a woman. He lost to Sleepy Joe, a person, if I'm not mistaken, fell asleep at a conference. Then you go in New York when the game is being played and you get booed. You're beginning to see that you're not liked like you want people to think that you are. You have no respect for rank and file. But to the people who have any kind of respect for Obama, let that man live his life. Stop trying to put him up after 10 years of not being around in politics like that to try to fix something that he did not mess up. That's not being a true fan. That's using somebody to fix somebody else's mistake. That's not true love. That's called using people or misusing people, for those who know where we're coming from. That's called taking advantage. Well, I'm going to use you when I need you. Other than that, beep you. That's not good. You don't do that kind of stuff to people. But listen, family, we're going to close out now. You know, get some lessons together. And we hope that everybody is well. My number, for those who do want it, 908-587-4841. 908-587-4841. All right? Peace.
Prize-winning novel that sparked national conversations about slavery and African-American heritage has now been removed from Knox County school libraries.
Books like Roots help us to know better and to do better, and helps us to leave this world better than we found it.
Roots by Alex Haley was taken off shelves after a district review found part of the book violated a relatively new state law called the Age Appropriate Materials Act. Now, people who preserve Haley's legacy and share his story every day say this decision risks limiting important conversations about history.
News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry has more.
The book, as well as the author, has significance because it's still informing us. It's a true book of history, right? It's the rich history of a people.
Roots by Alex Haley was published in 1976. It broke ground as the first time a Black American traced their ancestry back to Africa, reclaiming a history many families lost through slavery.
Before 1976, the only things that kind of really knew were the things that your grandparents or your parents sat and talked to you about. But Alex brought it to the forefront.
The book follows Haley's ancestor who was captured in Africa and sold into slavery in America, leading to 7 generations of descendants, including Haley.
As an African American, his story and my story are the same. And that's what people need to understand. Stories are the same. The only difference is Alex got to write about it.
Haley had deep roots in Tennessee, spending part of his life in Henning and Knoxville. Now, as Roots approaches 50 years since its publication, Knox County Schools has removed the book from its shelves. The district says the decision was based on state law, not the book's historical or cultural value. A district spokesperson tells me a review committee determined Chapter 84 met the legal standard for sadomasochistic abuse under Tennessee's Age-Appropriate Materials Act. But the president of Beck Cultural Exchange Center in Knoxville says this should be a moment for conversation, not removal.
We cannot erase history. We have to keep going forward. But I do think that it is a moment for us to pause and have deep conversations and discussions. If indeed we really are doing this to protect children, and if so, what are we protecting them from?
Supporters of Haley's work are now encouraging people to read Roots for themselves and talk openly about its lessons.
I double dog dare you. Read Roots for yourself and then find a way to unpack it at the different levels for your children.
In Nashville, Caitlin Quisenberry, News 2.